stop for a moment and look at the image of success you have been sold by the masses. You have seen the highlights of the great industrialists and men of affairs. You have seen the grand estates, the chauffeured motor cars, the private railway cars, and the effortless, sun-drenched lifestyle of the elite. You have been told, through the idle gossip of the parlor and the sensationalized newspapers, that this level of achievement is simply a matter of luck. You have been told it is a matter of knowing the right people, or being born into the right family, or simply happening to be standing in the right place when fortune smiled. But beneath the polished, glittering surface of every great achievement lies a hidden ledger. And on that ledger, every single gain, every single victory, and every single dollar of wealth is balanced by a brutal, non-negotiable cost. You are here because you have been chasing the prize without fully understanding the payment. You have been working, striving, reading the great philosophies, and praying for the top of the mountain, but you feel a strange, growing friction in your life that no one warned you about. You feel an exhaustion that goes deeper than physical labor, a loneliness that cannot be cured by a crowded room, and a persistent doubt that whispers in your ear in the quiet hours of the night. What you are about to find out is that true success is not a gift. It is not a lottery ticket drawn by the hand of fate. It is a trade. It is a cold, calculated transaction with infinite intelligence, where you must surrender the person you are today in order to purchase the person you desperately want to be tomorrow. I am bringing this to your attention right now because you have been looking for a discount on your dreams. You have been walking through the great marketplace of achievement trying to haggle with the cashier of destiny. You have been trying to find the shortcut that allows you to keep your old comforts, your old idle companions, your old lazy habits, and your old excuses, while simultaneously expecting the universe to hand you a new reality of abundance. Today, I am going to show you the hidden invoice of greatness. I'm going to prove to you that the reason you haven't yet reached the pinnacle of your definite chief aim isn't a lack of talent, it isn't a lack of formal education, and it certainly isn't a lack of opportunity. It is simply that you have not yet agreed to pay the price in full. The great deception of the average mind is the something-for-nothing philosophy. We are surrounded by a society of drifters who believe that everything can be acquired without equivalent effort. They believe they can squander their youth in idle amusement and somehow magically accumulate a fortune in their twilight years. They expect the harvest before they have endured the back-breaking labor of the planting season. But in the ancient, unforgiving school of success dictated by the law of compensation, there is no credit system. The bill must be paid in full. It must be paid in advance. And it is usually paid in the currency of tears, sweat, and absolute isolation. The core problem is that the majority of people are mental bargain hunters. They want the iron constitution of a champion pugilist, but they do not want the agony of the training camp. They want the financial empire of an Andrew Carnegie, but they do not want the grueling work weeks, the terrifying financial risks, and the sleepless nights wondering if the steel mills will survive the panic. They want the respect and admiration of the world, but they are completely unwilling to endure the mockery, the doubt, and the criticism of their peers during the long, silent years of unproven progress. Success is a jealous master. It demands your absolute attention, your unwavering focus, and often your total isolation from anything that does not serve its end. While the average mind is busy looking for a way to divide its time evenly between labor and leisure, the person armed with a burning desire understands a terrifying truth. Greatness is inherently, mathematically unbalanced. You cannot do something extraordinary while living an ordinary, leisurely life. The two states of being are mutually exclusive. The price of success is rarely just a matter of capital. In fact, if you can solve a problem merely by writing a check, it is a cheap problem. The real price of success is extracted directly from your soul and your nervous system. It is the cost of being profoundly misunderstood by the people who share your own roof. It is the cost of the dark night of the soul, where you are standing in the wreckage of a failed enterprise, and you are the only person on the face of the earth who still holds applied faith in your vision. It is the cost of identity death, where you have to systematically eradicate the version of yourself that seeks approval, craves safety, and desires only to fit in with the herd. If you are not currently feeling the sharp, biting sting of this price, you are not moving toward the top. You are simply walking in comfortable circles in the valley of mediocrity. To master your destiny, you must intimately understand the law of sacrifice. Nature abhors a vacuum, but nature also demands an exact and equal exchange of energy. This law dictates that in order to attain something of a higher vibratory nature, you must be absolutely willing to give up something of a lower nature. The hidden principle is this: your current life, with all its current habits, current associations, and current limitations, is the exact currency you must use to buy your future life. Think of your mind and your daily hours as a vessel with a strictly fixed capacity. You cannot pour the new wine of massive success into a vessel that is already full to the brim with the old vinegar of average habits. Most people are stuck in a perpetual state of frustration because they are trying to stack greatness on top of their current baggage. They want the thousands of dollars in riches, but they also want to keep spending 5 hours a day lingering in the tavern, reading dime novels, or engaging in idle chatter at the boarding house. They want the mantle of leadership, but they want to keep their safe, comfortable social circle of people who play small and complain about the economic depressions. You are here because you have been trying to negotiate with this immutable law of sacrifice. You have been asking the universe, how little can I possibly give up and still win the prize? But the universe does not bargain. The cosmic laws do not care about your personal comfort. They look at you and ask, are you willing to place everything that does not serve your definite chief aim onto the altar and burn it? This is the psychological entry fee to the ranks of the elite. When you finally make the genuine, irrevocable decision to go for the top, your environment will immediately begin to extract a heavy tax. This tax first comes in the form of social friction. When you start changing, when you start rising before the sun, when you abstain from idle weekend amusements, when you start guarding your thoughts. Like a watchman guards a vault, those around you will feel deeply threatened. Your growth is a mirror that reflects their own drift and stagnation, and humanity despises what that mirror shows them. They will use logic, they will use sarcasm, and they will use feigned concern to try and pull you back down into their ranks. The price of success is the willingness to be the villain in the stories of people who are too afraid to exert their own willpower. It is the willingness to stand alone in the freezing cold of the unproven phase. Success does not just cost you your leisure time, it costs you your sense of belonging to the average tribe. You must consciously trade the warm, easy comfort of the crowd for the cold, terrifying solitude of the climb. Let us look at the real-world ledger of those who have actually reached the peak. Think of the price of mastery. We see a world-class maestro, a legendary inventor, or a titan of industry, and our lazy minds immediately whisper how fortunate they are. What a genetic gift they were given. But you are looking at the monument, not the quarry from which the stone was painfully hewn. You must look closer at the hidden years of toil. Think of a man like Thomas A. Edison. To the civilized world, he was the Wizard of Menlo Park, a genius who illuminated the globe and captured the human voice on a wax cylinder. But what was the exact price he paid for that immortal title? The price was 10,000 documented failures before the incandescent lamp yielded its secret. I want you to truly contemplate the mental toll of that number. Think about the psychological torment of being entirely wrong, day after day, month after month, year after year. Think of the ridicule from the established scientific community who called his quest a fool's errand. Think of the press labeling him a dreamer and a lunatic. Think of the sleepless nights in the laboratory, the ruined physical health, the absolute financial ruin he risked time and time again when he poured every cent he had into materials that burned up in an instant. Edison did not just pay with his hours. He paid with his sanity, his reputation, and his peace of mind. He had to exist in a terrifying state of perpetual not knowing for years, fueled only by a burning desire and applied faith, while the entire world laughed at his audacity. He bought the electric age with the currency of his own unrelenting suffering. Now, compare Mr. Edison's ledger to the ledger of the average clerk or laborer. Let us call him John. John is a man of fair intelligence. He possesses a good common school education. But John is a lifelong mental bargain hunter. He wants a massive promotion. He wants to sit in the executive's chair. But he absolutely refuses to remain at his desk 1 minute past the stroke of 5 o'clock because he loudly declares that he requires his evening leisure. He wants to be a wealthy merchant, but he refuses to invest his meager savings into a venture because he values his financial security. He wants to be recognized as a powerful leader of men, but he will not speak up in the meeting or shoulder the burden of a difficult project because he is terrified of failing publicly and tarnishing his modest reputation. John is not failing because he lacks the cognitive capacity to succeed. John is failing because he is trying to purchase a mansion with a handful of copper pennies. He is entirely unwilling to pay the toll of risk. He is entirely unwilling to pay the toll of discomfort. He refuses to pay the price of potential humiliation. As a direct mathematical result of the law of compensation, the universe hands John exactly what he paid for. A life of quiet desperation, a mountain of unspoken regret, and a permanent seat in the grandstands watching other men play the great game of life he was too timid to enter. Now, consider the toll exacted upon your inner circle. When you make the definitive choice to elevate your station in life, you will discover a heartbreaking reality. Your old companions can no longer breathe the rarefied air at that new altitude. Imagine a young woman of ambition. Let us call her Mary. Mary decides she is no longer going to settle for the life of a lowly stenographer. She conceives a definite chief aim to build a national enterprise of her own. She begins to transmute her desires into execution. As she climbs, she quickly realizes she can no longer participate in the afternoon social clubs. She can no longer spend her Sundays engaging in recreational complaining about the unfairness of the times. She stops reading the sensationalized fiction her friends consume because she is entirely occupied with studying the biographies of great leaders, financial reports, and the principles of commerce. Her companions notice the shift. They begin to whisper, "Mary has changed. She is too obsessed with money. She never joins us for amusement anymore. She puts on airs and thinks she is better than us." The price Mary must pay in this exact moment is the profound guilt of departure. She has to endure the sharp, visceral pain of outgrowing people she once held dear. She has to pay the price of an emotional severance from her old existence. If she refuses to pay it, if she stays at the social club merely for the sake of loyalty, Ta instantly caps her potential at their exact level. By trying to save her old friendships, she murders her future enterprise. She trades her ultimate destiny for a temporary, fleeting sense of belonging to a flock that is going nowhere. She chooses the bargain, and she loses the ultimate prize. You must understand that the price of success is most often paid in the realm of mental real estate. To be truly great at anything, you must be thoroughly and unapologetically obsessed. Obsession means that your definite chief aim takes up 90% of your waking thoughts and continues to dominate your subconscious mind while you sleep. The price of this obsession is your peace of mind. You will lose the ability to completely switch your thoughts off. You will lose the ability to be casual about your days. You will be actively engaged 24 hours a day. While the rest of the world is slumbering, your subconscious will be communicating with infinite intelligence, working on the bottleneck in your plans. While others are relaxing at the seaside, your mind will be strategizing your next expansion. This is the tax of obsession. Most men and women find this tax far too exorbitant to pay, so they happily settle for mere competence. They become good enough at their trade to avoid dismissal, and they return home to whittle away the evening. But mere competence does not build a lasting legacy. Competence does not alter the course of history. Obsession does. And obsession requires you to sacrifice the very concept of a normal existence. So, how do you prepare your mind and spirit for this inevitable invoice? How do you forge yourself into the type of individual who can actually afford the price of greatness without breaking under the immense pressure? First, you must ruthlessly perform a sacrifice audit. Look at your life right now with total, unblinking honesty. What are you holding on to that is merely good, but is actively preventing you from being great? Understand this fundamental truth. The greatest enemy of the best is not the worst. The greatest enemy of the best is the good. Are you holding on to a good salary that is keeping you from building a great fortune? Are you holding on to good companions who are keeping you from forging a great mastermind alliance? Take out a sheet of paper and write down everything you are willing to permanently give up to reach your goal. If that list is short, your progress will be painfully, agonizingly slow. You must be willing to burn the ships of your comfortable life to conquer the shores of your magnificent life. Second, you must completely accept the villain phase. You must deliberately surrender the desperate, childish need to be universally liked and understood. Success requires you to say no to 1,000 good opportunities, pleasant social gatherings, and polite favors so that you can say an absolute, unwavering yes to one great, defining mission. The masses will not understand your refusal. They will call you selfish. They will call you arrogant. They will call you unbalanced and excessively ambitious. Pay that price with a smile. The quiet respect of the few who are actually in the arena of achievement with you is worth infinitely more than the loud, empty approval of the millions who are drifting through life without a purpose. Third, you must pay the isolation premium. Every great invention, every grand commercial empire, and every profound personal transformation is conceived in absolute silence. You must become completely comfortable with your own company. You must be willing to spend thousands upon thousands of hours in quiet, concentrated thought, where no one sees your effort, no one cheers for your discipline, and no one even cares that you are toiling. This is the dark, fertile soil where the roots of your future empire grow deep. If you cannot handle the deafening silence of the solitary grind, you will never be able to handle the deafening roar of ultimate triumph. Fourth, you must permanently surrender the right to be tired. When you are in the business of building a legacy, your temporary physical feelings and fleeting moods are completely irrelevant. The cosmic habit force does not care if you are fatigued. The price of success is the brutal willingness to act in direct, aggressive opposition to how you feel on any given day. It is the consistency tax. You must pay it when you are under the weather. You must pay it when a heavy sorrow burdens your heart. You must pay it when you are profoundly bored by the repetition of your tasks. The marketplace of life only pays for executed results. It does not issue promissory notes for your internal emotional struggles. If you only apply yourself when the spirit moves you, you will only succeed when the universe decides to suspend the laws of nature, which is to say, never. Fifth, you must invest your emotional capital. Success requires you to put your entire ego and reputation on the chopping block. It requires you to risk total, spectacular, public ruin. The price is the absolute vulnerability of the arena. Most men stay safely in the grandstands because the grandstands demand no entry fee of courage. You do not have to risk a single drop of blood to be a critic of those who try. But the view from the stands never changes, and the seats are filled with the ghosts of men who never truly lived. You must pay the price of stepping into the center of the ring, covered in the dust of defeat and the sweat of exertion, knowing full well that you might lose everything, but fighting onward with applied faith regardless. Sixth, and perhaps most painfully, you must embrace continuous identity death. You must be willing to ruthlessly eradicate the version of yourself that got you to where you currently stand. The knowledge, the mindset, and the habits that secured your first $10,000 will absolutely not secure your first million. The price of the next level of achievement is always the death of the current self. You must become a perpetual student of life, always willing to admit that your current wisdom is insufficient, and always willing to begin anew at the absolute bottom of a steeper, more terrifying mountain. The world is overflowing with drifters who desperately desire the crown of a king, but they are terrified of bearing the cross of leadership. They desire the ultimate victory of the conqueror, but they refuse to experience the vulnerability of the battlefield. They desire the massive harvest of the autumn, but they refuse to break their backs plowing the hard, unyielding earth of the spring. But the law of compensation is an absolute, immovable force of nature. It cannot be tricked by smooth words. It cannot be bypassed by clever schemes. You will receive from life exactly what you are willing to pay for, measured down to the last grain of sand on the scales of justice. Intelligence is a wonderful endowment from the Creator, but sacrifice is a deliberate, conscious choice of the human will. It is the choice to be fundamentally unbalanced in your pursuits. It is the choice to be utterly unreasonable in the face of conventional logic. It is the choice to look at the hidden invoice of greatness, with all its terrifying, life-altering costs, and sign your name in the ink of your own sweat and tears without a single moment of hesitation. As you conclude these words, I want you to look at your definite chief aim. Look at that massive, seemingly impossible goal you have committed to paper. And then I want you to look honestly at your daily habits and your current associations. Are you trying to haggle with the cosmic laws? Are you still tightly holding on to the security of your comfortable rut? Are you still attempting to figure out how to keep the cozy familiarities of your old life while simultaneously stepping into the grandeur of your new one? You are here because deep down, in the quietest, most honest chamber of your soul, you know that your current bid is not high enough. You know that you have been playing the game of life with timidity while having the audacity to dream of empires. You cannot cheat the mathematics of success. That magical moment when the frozen circumstances of your life finally melt into flowing abundance only happens because the heat of your desire was turned up to a degree that was profoundly uncomfortable. Success is a transmutation of energy that only ever occurs at the absolute boiling point of human effort. Stop looking for the bargain. Stop reading the philosophies looking for an easier path that does not exist. Stop asking why the journey is so perilous, and start asking yourself if you have actually paid enough of the toll yet. The pain of discipline you are feeling right now is just the weakness of the drifter leaving your body. The frustration you are feeling is just the friction of your old, limited identity burning away in the crucible of your ambition. The price of success is everything you currently are. Every habit, every comfort, every meager excuse. But the reward of success is everything you could ever possibly become under the sun. Stop bargaining with destiny. Sign the ledger. Pay the price in full, and step forward to claim exactly what is yours by right of conquest.